pleased to welcome Melisa Williams, and she's going to give us an update on the Fiero Marine Life Center. I truly believe that in my time here in Clallam County, that the Fiero Marine Life Center has been an anchor attraction for us, for kids and adults alike. And I just love the touch tanks and the way they have been able to change it up. So Melisa Williams came to Fiero Marine Life Center in May 2014 after holding positions of progressive responsibility over 7 years at the John G. Shield Aquarium in Chicago. Most recently as the Vice President of Learning, a lifelong informal science educator and professional. Melisa has also held positions at the University of Arizona's Flandreau Science Center in Tucson and the Adler Planetarium in Chicago. Her academic background includes an undergraduate degree in psychology from New College, Florida, focused on animal cognition and behavior, and a master's degree in instructional leadership from the University of Illinois at Chicago. I am so pleased she's part of our community, and I'm going to turn it over to you now, Melisa. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you so much, Kathy, for asking me. I'm just going to go ahead and get my screen shared here. Okay. All right, hopefully what you're seeing is a number of images. Is that true?
Yes.
Okay, good.
All good.
So when I share my screen, of course, I can't see any of you anymore. So if you have a question or anything, just please feel free to interrupt me. That'll be the easiest way for me to know that you are interested. So thank you so much for having me. It has been a little while since I've spoken at the Nor'Wester Rotary. I'm super glad to be here and give you an update on everything that's going on with Fiero. As I'm sure you've heard and as you've lived through, COVID has really been an interesting challenge for us in the last 18 months, and we are still not completely back to 100% of what we were doing before, but it gave us an opportunity to do some things very differently. And so I'm hoping to kind of focus on that today and then give you a quick update on our new building project towards the end. So first of all, we, like many of you, are very pleased to be on the tail end of most of our COVID experiences. We were so lucky to have a great group of volunteers. And as you know, being a volunteer organization, it just would not have been possible without the group of naturalists and animal care volunteers and people willing to come in at weird times and do all the tasks that still need doing. So the animals are the cornerstone of our organization, and they need caring for 24/7, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. And you can't just send everyone home and close the doors and say, oh, we're done. We're not that kind of building. So we had about 25 volunteers who felt confident to come in. Everyone has been masked and come in on appointment basis. So spread throughout the week while we were completely closed to clean all of the habitats, to feed animals, to unclog pipes, which as you probably know from me being here before, get clogged with alarming frequency, mostly by animals living inside the pipes, and really just keep everything functional. And we were so grateful to our community, to the Clallam County Lodging Tax Fund for several rounds of keeping the lights on, for a PPP loan, for a couple different sources of funding, individual donors that have just meant that we could do that without any interruption in our animal care staffing, which has been a huge, huge benefit. So we basically, when we reopened to the public, we required reservations, and we are currently still requiring reservations through the end of this month. So basically, we got everyone set up, and I've got the little form here on the website. Free reservation. And you just go online, you book your time, and you get the entire place to yourself for your group of up to 8 people for 45 minutes. So we've been doing that since last July with a temporary break for the fall. And so that has been going pretty well. It has obviously cut down on the number of people that have come in, but it has meant that everyone can have a safe experience. What is going on with my computer? Okay, they could have a safe experience, and also that they could actually enjoy the facility. The other thing I'll note is that so many of our programs, like everyone else, like the whole school district, everybody in the world, pivoted to digital. And I want to show you a couple of things that we were glad to produce. So first of all, we do have a YouTube channel now. We didn't really have much of one before. And we're almost at 100 subscribers, which is when you get to name your YouTube channel. So if you use YouTube, we encourage you to subscribe so that we can get our name on the channel rather than just having this funny string of letters. But what we did do was several digital programs, live programs. We did a lot of just-in-time animal care. So we would turn the camera on as they were cleaning tanks, the volunteers, or seeing things hatching under the microscope. And we were able to get all of that captured either on Facebook Live or via our YouTube channel. And we did several video programs with youth. So Rachel did a squid dissection video program with our library. We also were doing a series of video series for schools that teachers could take advantage of to use in their online classroom experiences or for home-based learning. We went out and filmed, which again, not really something we really knew how to do, but have Rachel spent a lot of time teaching herself, our education manager, how to do this. And so she went out to all of these different habitats, created and edited all these different video series, and then created some teacher resources to go along with them. And she is continuing actually to do that. One of the big programs that we do on a normal year is the Peabody Creek North Olympic Watershed Science Program in partnership with the Dungeness River Audubon Center. And they we take the 4th graders into Peabody Creek and study water quality and watersheds and human impact. And the Dungeness Center takes the 5th graders to Dungeness River, obviously a river, Birch Park, and does the same. And then we have a compare contrast. So we did an entire series shot with a professional videographer. Thankfully, we had a grant to make this happen. And Silas Cruz was our videographer. And it is a 10 video series that's available for now educators everywhere, but was really targeted at our local educators to help them get their kids involved in the program, even if they couldn't take a field trip this year, which they couldn't. So one of the cool things about that, we've sort of unintentionally realized and now are being more deliberate about with our video programs, is that it also has provided a much wider accessibility, not just to people who don't live here, but to parents, like chaperones, teachers, and students who really couldn't physically get into the spaces where we were taking the students. So if you've ever been to that Peabody Creek Trail right around the Olympic Discovery, the Olympic National Park Visitor Center, that Peabody Creek Trail is not wheelchair accessible. And it is kind of steep and can be a little bit of a challenge if you don't have solid footing. So we were able to film some of these videos in such a way that there were 360-degree immersive videos that kids could move the mouse up and down and side to side and look all around them and get that sense of being in that space, even if they couldn't physically get into that space. We also have the rest of the curriculum now in these video formats. And so we've heard actually from quite a lot of teachers that this turns out to be something that they have really appreciated, that they can use each of the segments individually if they want, or as an entire series. And unexpectedly, later this past spring in March and April, we had a teacher who had been teaching, I have a picture here, at Seaview Academy, which is the online school. She had done that program with her students and then said, well, we would love to actually come on a physical field trip and do something because we've been online all year, but our students are working from home and their parents can opt in to something like a field trip because they don't have to take a bus together. So we were able to get the Seaview group up to the Olympic National Park. So there's Rachel here and Ranger Matt over there and all the kids and their family members. And they were able to do a big stewardship project and remove invasive herb arbor plants from the Peabody Creek watershed. So that was actually something we were really excited about, more of a hybrid opportunity, but it opened a door to kids that maybe wouldn't normally get to participate. So that was a happy coincidence. The other piece that we tried to do was to provide some hands-on materials. We heard from a lot of people that digital was at various points during the year, just very over. Kids were not feeling it, parents were not feeling it, teachers were not feeling it. Pardon my scrolling, I'm trying to find my picture of my digital materials. Hang on, I went too far. The Noon Rotary was a fantastic crew of volunteers for this effort. Wow. Boy, I'm really bad at this today. I apologize. They were here when I looked a minute ago, and now I'm having trouble finding them. So, so what we were able to do, again, with some of our grant money, was to create activity packs. These were basically just paper bags, paper sandwich bags that the students each got their own kit, and they took, here it is. We packed with a whole bunch of different activities, hands-on science that the kids could do at home, and we delivered them to each of the schools. So all of these individual flyers here are one kit per kid, and then the kids could actually pick them up from the school. So this was last fall, and all of the activities were things that they could do at home and then check in with their teachers about concerning ocean acidification experiments and learning more about pH. So all of the content really rolled into those watershed videos, which came out later in the summer. The other piece I'll just mention is that we not only did we take care of animals, we also did as much of our other educational programming as possible and our citizen science programming. So we have a marine mammal stranding response contract. We are volunteers with NOAA, and we go out in an area roughly from the John Wayne Marina all the way out to where the border of Macaw is, and we are charged with responding to any marine mammal reports in that region. So here you can see Edith's Hook. We've got our seal pup on the beach, and we've put up share the shore signs, and we do a lot of education with folks. And normally our trained marine mammal stranding volunteers would come to Fiero, pick up materials, and then go out and do the response. Again, with COVID, not really possible. So we were able to raise through Facebook mainly several, about $1,200 to create individual response kits for each of the volunteers, which again, now we're realizing was probably the better way to go anyway. And so they have kits at their house or in the trunk of their car. And so wherever they are, they can go in and, check on the animals, put up signs. If the animal is deceased, there's a form that we fill out that is a scientific data collection, and that goes into the national database so that researchers can study strandings, why animals are stranding or where they're stranding. And we have found some unusual animals in the last year. Mainly we do get calls about seal pups. Occasionally we'll get something like stellar sea lion or an elephant seal that's molting. But this year we actually got a sea otter, and that is highly unusual for our area. And boy, twice this year I've been proven wrong. So I'm usually saying things like it's highly unusual for our area. And I think I might just have to let that phrase go. We hardly ever see sea otters in our region. Almost all the otters we see are river otters, who also happen to be in the sea. But this year we've actually had verified reports, one living and one deceased sea otter. The deceased sea otter was found on Edith's Hook, and the living sea otter was spotted off of the waterfront trail right around Morse Creek. So we have, and the deceased sea otter was seen prior to the living sea otter. So we know they're not the same animal. So there's a high possibility we'll have more of those things in our area, even though they don't normally come over this way. There's quite a large population on the west coast of Washington, and they could very easily, there's plenty of food for them to come over here, and they just, until this point, have really not. And now we're starting to see more ones and twos of those species of the sea otters make their way over here. So we're especially interested in tracking animals like that are unusual or rare. And we continue to, for example, with the deceased sea otter, we work with the state and the NOAA researchers. So we were able to deliver that animal, meet a researcher from the state halfway. They came up from Olympia. We drove down and did a handoff, basically, so that they could necropsy the animal and try to learn more about it. Okay, last but not least, because I know I'm taking a little bit of time here, I just wanted to talk a little bit about our fostering, animal fosters. So we, unfortunately, have a sister organization over in Poulsbo. It is the Sea Discovery Center, and probably you've visited there before or heard of it. And they are now affiliated with Western Washington University. And unfortunately, they really had a hard time the beginning of the pandemic and had to close. So as you might imagine, that leaves all of their animals at risk. So they, we are part of an organization, a loose affiliation of small science centers called the Community Marine Science Centers of the Salish Sea. And we all work to take their animals and foster them. So we have about 24 animals from Poulsbo, one of which is a moon snail. And here's our little snail buried in the sand. Again, not normally an animal that you see in Port Angeles or further west. It prefers a sandy beach. So that's usually a swim into the Hood Canal spotting. But we have been really interested to watch this moon snail and have people see its progression, because what it has done this spring is lay eggs. And this is a sand collar. You can see it's sort of a collar shape. And that is the matrix in which the moon snail lays its eggs. So everyone on our Instagram and in our booking program has been able to check out the collars. The snail has so far laid 3 of them, as well as under the microscope, check out the eggs of the moon snail. As those eggs hatch, as they develop and they hatch out, the collar is essentially mucus and sand and eggs, and it will disintegrate. And the eggs, as they're hatching, turn into plankton in the water column until they grow larger. So that has been a really interesting animal, different animal thing that we've been able to view, mainly due to COVID. Okay, just about done. And I said I'd tell you about our new building. I just want to mention quickly that we are about to stop taking those reservations. We are going back to general admission. We will be open 5 days a week starting Friday, July 2nd. So the normal business days will be Thursday through Monday, and it'll be 10 to 4, and our admission fee will come back. We really need the money. And so we have a membership program. We encourage folks to let their visitors know, their friends know that this is happening. Obviously, with the state restrictions lifted at that point, we don't anticipate requiring masks, but we have some extra ventilation, and we also have a limited capacity that we'll be enacting. So we'll be at 50% capacity, which is actually for us still, a decent number of people. So, okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that. And I will tell you, just like with our existing programs, COVID really put a crimp in our new building project. We had gone all the way to having a conceptual design. We'd hired a fabulous architect out of Seattle called MIG Portico, who is well-versed in building live animal exhibits and buildings that house live animals. They had done lots and lots of zoo and aquarium exhibits around the US and Canada, and had designed a great two-story building that we felt very confident would fit perfectly on the west end of the Port Angeles Waterfront Center. So if you're familiar with that project, you'll know the Field Arts and Events Hall is on the east end of that property, and we have leased the west end of that property across from the healthcare and right next to the whalebone sculpture at the Pebble Beach Park where we have a jam in. Unfortunately, we were just about to launch our fundraising campaign when COVID came along. So not only are we now facing increased building construction costs, but we are behind on our fundraising. So we have pretty much been working hard to catch up. We're revisiting all of our donors and just making sure that the plans that we had laid out prior are still possible. And we are in the middle of making some tweaks to the building design. So we are hoping that we can drive that cost down a little bit and still have a really great facility. You may know that the building that Fiero occupies right now is in its 40th year. It has had seawater in it for all of those 40 years. And if you've ever seen what seawater does to things outside, you can imagine what's happening to the inside of our building. So we desperately need a new home. We have to make this happen, and we are making it happen. It's just unfortunately taking a little bit longer due to the pandemic impacts. So I hope that in about 6 more months, I will have something very happy and friendly and shiny to show you, but it is going to take us a little bit longer to climb out from underneath the COVID situation, at least as far as the new building goes. And just, we'll take a quick look at how the construction costs, materials are faring. I've seen some good indicators that things are maybe going back down. Our fingers are really crossed on that front, and we will be able to keep moving forward. But we're making it happen. Just it's not going to be today. Sorry. Okay, so I think I can see you all now, and if you have any questions or anything you'd like to know, I'm happy to answer any questions.
Melissa, do you still have a volunteer crew that works with you, and how does that work these days?
Yeah, so yes, we have been able to retain almost all the volunteers we had from before the pandemic. I think we've lost about 10 just for attrition, no health reasons, and we accept applications for volunteering. We are slowly training new volunteers. So we have an online application on our website. It's very easy to fill out, and then Tamara gives a call and tries to schedule the person in during a time that they can get trained. So with a senior volunteer. We also have an animal care volunteer opportunity, which isn't in front of the public. That's a Tuesday and Wednesday cleaning schedule. So you would learn how to clean and exhibit. And then we also have that marine mammal stranding volunteer opportunity, like I mentioned, and that is does require some training, but it's not too onerous. We've been able to transfer that training to video. We used to do it all in person, and now we have these great tools that we were producing during lockdown. So we have all the training for that on video. That one basically just requires you to be available all summer long on an on-call basis as you're able to pop out in your region and see what's going on. We don't often get calls west of, say, Clallam Bay. We do get some calls each summer from Clallam Bay. The majority of our calls are from the popular beaches in Port Angeles on Squim, which is where the most of our population lives. So, yeah.
Melissa, how deep is your water intake?
It's about 22 feet. the
Okay.
current water intake.
Yeah, I'm updating my spill plan and I just wanted to make sure that it was in there at 22 feet because
Yeah.
Department of Ecology was asking, so.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
Okay.
It
And
hasn't changed.
you're still the contact that I need to contact in case I have to have you close that.
Yes.
Okay. Perfect.
Mhm.
And that moon snail, wasn't the giant moon snail what Dr. Doolittle sailed away on?
Was it?
I think that was it, wasn't it? Somebody tell
Someone
me
who's
I'm
seen
wrong.
that will have to confirm. I don't know that I can confirm it.
I can almost see that and everything and picture it in my mind when I was a kid and everything. I was watching that movie and I could see it, the moon snail, giant moon snail. So that's kind of cool.
It's highly possible. They're intriguing animals.
Yeah, and we get a lot of those river otters that over by my office and stuff. I mean, they're amazing what they can do and stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
But
And we often get questions about how do I tell? Sometimes it's hard in the water to tell if the animal's swimming on its belly with its head out of the water, that's a river otter. If the
Yeah.
animal's swimming on its back with its paws up, that's a sea otter.
Yeah.
You often can't tell by the face, often looks pretty similar. River otters have much more of a, their front and back feet are like hands. Sea otters' front feet are a little like hands, but their back feet are more like flippers. So that's another good way.
And they're a lot bigger too, aren't they?
They are a lot bigger. Yes. The river otters kind of skinny, long tail, that kind of thing. Sea otters are like the size of a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
I love seeing their families swim, the whole
Yeah.
bunch of them like that.
I just have to say, Melissa, the Making Waves fundraiser, the virtual fundraiser that you guys did was incredible. You did a really good job. We always hear the word pivoting, but you guys totally pivoted, and I learned a lot. The different orcapods and around our area. So thank you for providing that, and also the youth services. I see you guys have a camp coming up. I know there's some kiddos that are excited for that. So thank you for staying engaged and providing support for our marine life around here.
Yeah, thank you for reminding me, because I did want to mention your club really did such a great job on that outdoor learning classroom. It was a huge undertaking over several years, and even Steve's still out there working on it. So we are able to have our summer camp this year because of that outdoor space. And it's a huge asset, both to the community. I see tons of people making use of it. Eating their lunch out there and just enjoying the river, the waterfront. And also we'll be having a camp for 5 and 6 year olds, day camp, and also one for 7 and 9 year olds, completely outdoors this summer. And it's because of that outdoor learning space and all of the seating that was built in and all of the engagement that's out there that we can have it. So that's a huge, huge, huge thank you to you guys.
Any other questions?
I just want to say thank you, Melissa, for kind of being part of our Outdoors in Clallam County series. Great presentation. And I think all of us are reminded to go down there and all the new materials, as Carmen said, that prepared for the kids, and that this is awesome, and proud to have you being part of our community.
Thank you. I neglected to mention our adult programs, and obviously this group is probably a little more interested in that, but if you are interested, because we went online with our speaker series last year, all of our speaker series were recorded and are available to watch from our website. And we had, Carmen mentioned the one we had during the Making Waves, which was a woman who was talking about our southern resident killer whales from the Whale Museum in Friday Harbor, but we also have a whole array of worldwide speakers. Linda Mapes was in our speaker series. We had a researcher from Hawaii that studied whales. We have all different interesting people. And now they're archived on our YouTube channel. So that's another great reason to check it out. And we will continue that practice of having hybrid in-person and online speakers from now on, because we did see that it was so much more attractive to people that didn't live in our region, we had people from all over the world participate in those online webinars. And so that was pretty exciting to see.
Great. Anything else from anybody? Well, Melissa, thank you very much for your time.
Thanks for
Appreciate
having
it.
me.
You guys run a great ship over there, and I've enjoyed it for many years and stuff. So we'll look forward to seeing that new building eventually. So
We'll get
Yeah,
there.
keep up the great work.
Thank you.
okay, is there any other announcements that somebody thought of while we were on our program?
I sent out the vote request, but as I saw, there's